In this video, I'll share 3 instant ADHD fixes that I've used to not only manage my ADHD, but also to thrive with it, and all without having to rely on medication. These 3 instant fixes are 100% scientifically backed and allowed me to come off my ADHD medication without my life turning right back into a complete mess. I get done what I want to when I want to. I have no executive paralysis. I have laser focus. I'm rarely overwhelmed. But more importantly, I am now finally making consistent progress while living a well-balanced and fulfilled life. And I'd bet my channel that these can do the same for you. If you think this sounds too good to be true, I dare you to stick with me till the end. And if you don't like them, feel free to roast me in the comments. Jokes aside, let's get started. Next to going viral with these 3 strategies, I was even invited onto NBC News recently to talk about them. And the best part is that compared to medication, these don't have any negative side effects. The only side effects these natural strategies have are a life of more clarity, energy, and purpose, plus a healthier body. It's a win-win on all fronts, my friends. But before we dive in, we need to understand what happens to our brains when we take medication so we know the effects we're gonna try and copy, side effect free. As ADHDers, we have lower levels of neurotransmitters, dopamine and norepinephrine. These hormones regulate our mood and attention, and stimulant medication works by increasing the concentration of these neurotransmitters in our brain, which immediately boosts our attention, focus, and executive functions. However, it boosts these levels artificially. And so if you take medication, you may often also suffer from rebound effects where ADHD symptoms temporarily worsen anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours after. It can feel like falling off a cliff. Trust me, I've been there, and it's one of the main reasons I actually decided to come off it. It's almost like your brain needs time to recover after medication, which is not ideal. This is actually one of the many side effects that medication can have. And do you actually know the percentage of medication users that experience side effects? It's shocking. Put your guesses in the comments. I'll circle back to this in a minute. But for now, let's get back to the benefits of the 3 natural strategies. Because instead of giving your brain something to recover from, these strategies will help you build and create these neurotransmitters without needing to worry about what happens later. And by the way, make sure to stay until the end for a special bonus strategy that just happens to be my favorite. Let's dive right in. Welcome back to ADHDVision, where we help you thrive instead of just survive. So if you have ADHD, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell, because that way you won't miss out on any more uploads. We upload twice per month. Number 1, movement. Studies have shown that exercise can enhance executive functions, such as impulsivity control and attention in children with ADHD. And when I learned about this, it just made so much sense. Because back in school, I always found myself chasing movement. I played football during break. I ran up the stairs before class, which turns out was all just a coping mechanism to allow my brain to get focused and engaged. And the best part is that this still holds true when you're an adult. During the first 60 minutes of exercise, dopamine levels gradually increase, peaking around the end of the exercise session. After the exercise session ends, dopamine levels start to decrease gradually, returning to baseline over the next hour. And so you're more focused and energized during this time. But what you may not know is that regular exercise can even help sustain higher baseline levels of dopamine over time. This means even when you're not exercising in the moment, you will naturally be more focused and attentive over time the more you do it. Also, this is one for all of my anxious ADHDers out there. I see you. I'm one of you. 50% of people with ADHD also suffer from anxiety, and exercise even helps reduce your levels of stress hormones such as cortisol. Something many people don't know is that the best type of exercise for producing dopamine is aerobic, like running, as well as high-intensity interval training. But we as ADHDers are consistently inconsistent. When I started exercising, I always did it in 3-week sprints, and then stopped again for 3 weeks. So how can we stick with it? Well, by finding an activity you actually enjoy. Our brains are wired for interest, not importance. And so we need to make exercise interesting to activate our ADHD brain. Once I got outdoors for additional stimulation and sensory input, joined classes or teams, played a sport instead of just weightlifting alone or listening to my favorite music whilst doing so, everything changed. All of a sudden, I stuck with it. It was actually fun. And on top of that, studies have confirmed that exercise you enjoy produces more dopamine and helps with overall mental well-being more compared to exercise that feels like a chore. And that's true especially for us. So let me know what your favorite exercise is down below.
But even then, we are consistently inconsistent. So it's okay to do something completely different for a week or two. Just remember to come back after.
Before we move on to the second natural strategy, which builds onto this one perfectly, if you want to be successful with this one, you got to be very careful to trigger your all or nothing mindset here. Exercise can be 10 minutes long or 2 hours long. The reason why a lot of us ADHDers can't stay consistent is because we want to do everything all at once, all the time, which, spoiler alert, makes things too overwhelming to start on. It's why we're master procrastinators. One of the main things I had to learn was that every small bit of exercise is good.
Small movement intervals throughout the day, like taking a walk, taking the stairs, or just doing jumping jacks before a meeting, will still get you some of these benefits. You're not a failure if you don't manage to go all out.
Let's move on to mindfulness. I know, such a buzzword. But mindfulness in ADHD is actually widely misunderstood. It's not about sitting still on a mountaintop for hours, which we would definitely feel the need to jump off of after just a few minutes. Imagine you're a traffic control clerk at an airport. You see each plane taking off and landing. Now imagine each plane represents one of your thoughts. In short, that's what mindfulness is. Watching a thought and not engaging in it, simply noticing it from the outside, and this is the crucial part, deciding whether it has permission to land or not. Now here's something you may not know that just also makes a whole lot of sense. We as ADHDers are often plagued by ants. No, I don't mean the small insects that invade our home. I mean automatic negative thoughts. We often experience a heightened level of these ants because they're very stimulating to think about, which however can make your inner world a lot more volatile and, you guessed it, a lot more negative. Imagine planes landing every 1 to 2 minutes at your airport, constantly colliding with each other. Pilots completely ignoring air traffic commands. It's a mess, which contributes to a much more negative self-image, increased stress levels, and therefore less focus and attention. And so mindfulness isn't just a nice to have for ADHD. It's a must if you want to actually enjoy and take back control of your life. Imagine a life where you're intentional with your thoughts, where you get to choose what you believe. Imagine what that could be like. Sounds great, right? But how can you get there? Well, one of the best ways to learn is through meditation. But that does not mean you have to just sit still and focus on your breath. Everything changed for me once I learned about active meditations. Taking a walk and always coming back to the sensations of your steps. Focusing on your body's sensations, like rubbing your fingers together. Taking walks in nature are all game changers for ADHD because they're stimulating. The truth is that we as ADHDers can actually have fun and have an advantage when it comes to mindfulness. How? Well, since your brain is interest-driven, you're actually able to hyper-focus on your internal dialogue once you get interested in it. Once you get into the habit of asking yourself, why did that thought come up? And get curious about your inner experience, you can catch those planes even before they breach the clouds. You literally turn into a fighter jet escort. And let's be honest, what's more interesting than what's up here? Think about all the things that are influenced by your perception, your relationships, your job, your drive, your energy, literally everything. And now imagine you had the power to choose what to act on, the power to shoot down any thought that doesn't agree with who you want to be. That's what mindfulness can do for you, and it's changed my life. But where a lot of people with ADHD go wrong is they try to control their minds. They have heard about all this neurotypical mindfulness talk and want to tame their ADHD brain, which is like trying to tame a wild stallion with a red ribbon. You'll just make it worse. What you want to do instead is to just explore sensations of restlessness with curiosity, compassion, and validation. You are not changing or altering. You're just observing. Studies show that mindfulness can significantly improve attention and focus, as well as executive functioning, and it's easy to see why. Let's move on to sounds. I want you to now imagine you're sitting in one of these airplanes for a second. Do you hear that? No, it's not the crying baby or the couple arguing about what food to order. It's that background noise. That steady flow of deep sound that for some reason magically just clears your mind. This sound is called brown noise. And next to other colored noises is one of the most helpful, naturally occurring sounds to quiet your restless ADHD mind, because it sounds like a gentle breeze that clears your inner chatter without being too overwhelming or distracting. There's also white noise, pink noise, or green noise, which can not only help you focus and get things done, but even sleep. something that ADHD medication often actually makes worse. And by the way, 50% of people who take ADHD medication have been shown to experience side effects. You thought I'd forget about coming back to that, didn't you? But back to sounds. Studies show that people with ADHD need more noise to hit their peak cognitive performance. Now, I don't like to take credit for things, but we were actually one of the first channels to shed light on this incredible brown noise sound, getting over 22 million views on TikTok and then being invited to NBC News to talk about it, where they said that
the special thing about brown noise or white noise is it's cheap and simple.
Which is so true. You can find hour-long versions everywhere, including on my channel, of course, and the effect is immediate, just as promised. Now that you know about my top 3 ADHD remedies, you may want to know about one bonus strategy that I use every single day, which out of all other strategies helped me to become hyper consistent like never before, even though I suffered from executive paralysis almost daily. Ever since using this strategy, I'm less stressed, rarely overwhelmed, and I make consistent progress on my life goals more than ever. It's a simple strategy that works for almost anyone with or without ADHD and doesn't require any discipline or willpower. It's something called curated external triggers and is a science-backed way to trick your brain into a state of focus whenever you want to complete any task at rapid speed, no matter how boring it is. I would love to tell you about all the details right now, but it would simply take too long for the rest of this video. So I recorded another free video, which you can find over on my website, that breaks down the entire strategy in detail. Click the link in the description to watch it. In it, I'll show you exactly what curated external triggers are, how they work, why they work, and most importantly, how you can make use of them to erase your procrastination, executive paralysis, and finally be able to focus and get things done consistently. This strategy is proven to work by thousands of ADHDers, and more are jumping on it by the minute. Click the link in the description, check it out, and see for yourself how powerful it really is. See you there.